We are recording.
I will now call to order the regular board meeting of the Park Board of Commissioners. Today is Thursday, February 6th at 2025, and the time is 7 p.m. Please rise for the pledge. Renee, turn around. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please call the roll, Mary Beth.
Commissioner Bendy? Here. Commissioner Bowe?
Here.
Commissioner Halting?
Yes.
Commissioner Leduc?
Here.
Commissioner Matza?
Here.
Commissioner Tuttle?
Present.
Commissioner Grau?
Here. Okay, under amend, add, or delete items to the current agenda, I move to amend section 7C3 under report of park officials, section 3, C3, to state ordinance 25-2.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion on that? Do we need to explain it? It's just,
Wrong number.
oh, okay. I thought it was, it doesn't matter. It's just, this is correcting what we're doing. Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that carries. Are there any other amendments, additions, or deletions to the agenda? All right, moving on. Public comment. Renee, did you have something to say to us tonight? Okay. I'm sorry, that was really mean. You could, though, if you want to, but you don't have to. I'm kidding. I'm sorry. Sorry. All right, we will move on to the approval of minutes. I move to approve the minutes from January 19th, 2025, regular board meeting.
Second.
All right, discussion. I had a couple nitnoids, and I know I should have gotten them to you before Monday. But one thing we can change on, it's page 3 of our packet, public comment on non-agenda items. We can just change that to public comment now. And then the other one was on page 5. We discussed this, but in writing. So approval of bond ordinance number 25-1. I had asked Superintendent Larson to change her wording in her report because it says on here about halfway down, Superintendent Larson explained every 2 years the district issues general obligation limited tax bonds to fund district-wide capital construction, blah, blah, blah. And I asked her if she would say every 1 or 2 years. And she agreed to that. So I think in her report it said every 2, but I asked her if she would change it to every 1 or 2. Does anybody have does anybody disagree with that? All right.
Oh, just one quick comment. It should be the meeting minutes from the January 16th, not 19th.
Aren't we? And this is a clarification. I don't know if it matters or not. On that award that we won with the grant, I don't know if we were the only park district to receive this award. We were the only park district in the Metropolitan Mayor Caucus. Right?
Well, if the money goes out, we'll be sub-awarded.
Right. But it was not, I don't know if in the whole state any other park districts.
Oh, for the only park district within that will receive funding under the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus
Yeah.
Award.
So it was just clarification
Yeah.
in case some year somebody reads this and
As I recall, looking through the list, I think
probably weren't.
I think it's just
It's probably true. I don't know if it's true. So I'm sorry I didn't get you that, and normally they're perfect. So anybody else comments, or you're okay with those changes? All right. Yes. We will vote on approving the minutes as amended. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we will move on to report of park officials. Executive Director Shea. Oh, I didn't have one. I only get one on the second.
You could go ahead first. Go ahead.
Oh, I finally had a report. I'm sorry. It's been a busy week for the
It
park
has been a very
park
busy week.
district. I asked if I could talk. Under new business? Should I do it under new business? I'll do under new business. Okay, you're up.
Well, it's like watching a teaser of the movie, more to come. But anyways, good evening. Thank you, everyone. Two quick items just want to touch base on. In my Friday memo last week, we did receive information regarding IDOT and Oakton. We did meet with Senator Laura Murphy, and she got us a meeting, but that meeting was quickly canceled, and IDOT has foregoed the turn lane going right and left into the building, so there is no additional requirements from IDOT. Right now, what we are doing is reviewing all of our financing, seeing where we are currently to see what additional funds we have. Driving range poles and netting will go out to the public for a bid to receive bids starting tomorrow, and the bid opening will be February 28th. After then, we'll have a clearer picture of where we are financially. The two additional elements we would like to pursue further would be solar panels for the building and also the mezzanine upgrades. As you recall, we did put the elevator in, but we're looking at the scope. So we're going back and forth with numbers. We have another meeting this upcoming Tuesday with White, so we might have a better picture. But as you do recall, we did reduce the scope slightly from the last time we did the driving range poles and netting when they came in at $3.3 million. So still trying to look to see where we're at, but more to come there.
Can I ask a question?
ahead.
Did that lead I gave you turn into anything?
We gave him to, I spoke with him on the phone directly, and he
Okay,
told me he knew somebody that does it.
yes.
I got their contact, gave it to Terry, and Terry gave it off to White. This time we did submit additional vendors as well that I was able to find from additional park districts. Terry dug up what we did previously. So this bid package will go out to additional people than it has in the past. So
Thank
hopefully.
you. Great.
The other thing I would like to update the board on is the farmers market of 2025. There's been a lot of meetings with the farmers market. Last Thursday was a special meeting of the Farmers Market Commission. At that meeting, they did discuss contingency locations if the Rain property, former AT&T lot, does not become available. At this time, the request that the city got was that Rain would not allow us to use this property. They did rebuttal and ask if they could have a 30-day out, meaning if they gave them the rights to use it, and Rain says you got to be out, they have 30 days to leave, and then the farmers market at that time would either stop or additional alternatives would have to be found. At the meeting on Thursday, the commission decided that the best alternate location would be Cortland and Butler, which are the two streets that surround Hodges Park. At that meeting, I did speak up about the concerns that the park district has due to high foot traffic, exposed tree roots, shaded areas, no irrigation, and our events and rentals that we have at that location. Then on Monday at the city council meeting under the committee of the whole, they did bring this up again as a topic. Myself, President Grau, Commissioner Bendy, and Commissioner Matza were present for the park district as well. Commissioner Grau and myself both expressed concerns again. There were some talks about figuring out if FM Global's parking lot would work. They haven't received an answer from them or really directly asked. So the council directed Drew Awesome and his staff to go ahead and speak with FM Global about a possible alternate location. They will be bringing back a recommendation to the city council, if my dates are right. It was Tuesday, February 18th, the day after President's Day, so a little less than 2 weeks from today, or this week. And then I ended up having lunch with Joe Gilmore, the city manager, the day after the meeting. That was already scheduled, and we talked, and I expressed my concerns again about the park and potential elements we would need into an IGA if this did become a location. He has taken my ideas. I put them in writing as well. And I provided all the dates that April and her staff provided me for rentals that are already booked for this year, and also tentative dates for our events. I stressed that Trucktoberfest would need to block out 2 weeks because you have to have a rain location as well. He's taking into consideration and speaking to his staff about it. So I'm waiting to hear back. More to come. I told Joe to please keep me updated as the process goes on, but as right now, they are aware of our concerns of having the location at Cortland Butler, which surrounds Hodges Park.
I just want to add that I think the aldermen were sympathetic, and that if you want to talk to your alderman, I would encourage you to do that. They didn't seem totally on board with this, and I think they need to make staff do a little bit of work. And I also am worried about the timeline. When we met with the mayor and city manager in October, we asked for this decision to be made by January, so we would have time to work out an intergovernmental agreement. And even if you don't know, you should be working out the the agreement so that we don't have this shoved down our throat in April when they want to start the market at the end of May. So I don't feel like the cooperation is there between the city staff and our staff. And so if you can talk to your alder people to let them know that, we need to get moving either one way or the other. Find another location or get an IGA going right now. So, sorry.
I'm happy to answer any questions or comments.
So is the Rain parking lot it's not both parking lots there? Is the Rain parking lot, it's just the lot that the farmer's market is on? So could they have it on the street there? On, like, next to, between,
Like on Fairview?
like, I
They
don't-
do
yeah.
that already, the whole street.
Yeah, the whole, oh God, yeah, is it Fairview Garden? Does I thought it's Prairie and it curves around, or is it Garden?
They do that whole street now. They didn't used to, but they do now.
Even over towards that old house that used to be the historical center? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if they could extend it down there, and then they could use the same parking lot that currently is not enough room.
I don't know.
Yeah, from the information I received, 'cause I did ask that question too, because they own one of the lots over there. Using their existing lot and the street footprint, they believe that it would be too small for the current
Okay.
lot they have.
I saw in the Journal a couple of weeks ago, under a city council meeting, that they talked about Cumberland Park, and they'd like to get something going there. What, anything, did he mention that at all? No?
Nobody has come to me about Cumberland Park.
Okay, all right. I mean, years ago, 20 years ago, they talked about a gazebo, but, that obviously money and, they wanted to keep it kind of a quiet park, I think. But, okay, good. But it was mentioned at a city council meeting, so I don't know. Yeah.
So I wasn't talking about Fairview, I was talking about Garden. Fairview is the one that bisects the Rain lot and the other lot where everybody parks. I'm talking about Garden that runs northwest to southeast. Yeah.
That's the one they're on. The one by where Brooks Books used to be, whatever that is.
I haven't lived there enough to know where that.
I know Cindy.
Yeah, just on the,
Past all three parking lots. One parking lot is on one side and
Yep.
the other two are on the other side. That is all filled with vendors now.
yeah, Fairview, that's Fairview. That's
Okay.
filled with- So I'm talking about the one that, the perpendicular one. that- here,
Yeah.
Chamber of Commerce.
You know what? We
Yeah,
have no
I just-
say. We have no say.
I'm
So
just trying
send
to
it-
think
Talk
through
to your alder.
alternatives, and
Who's your
that's-
alder?
And that's close to the current location.
Yeah,
It's
who's-
just
Who's your alder?
Kelly.
Then tell her. Yeah. It did not seem like Kelly or Rick Biaggi were for this, so
Okay.
specifically.
No, it did not seem that way. If you have any additional locations or suggestions, let me know. As I told City Manager Joe Gilmore that I'd reach out with him if any other ideas did come develop so they could look into. Again, the turnaround is going to seem pretty tight, knowing that their meeting's the 18th, but I've had open dialogue with him over the last week.
So if we're going to talk about alternatives, just to be transparent, I met with a member of the Farmers Market Committee today who suggested Summit outside of the Farmers Market of FM Global, which is now FM.
Yeah.
That Summit there, because there's access for emergency vehicles on both sides. So it would just be on that section of the street. And she sent that to city staff, but she hasn't heard anything. So if you want to propose alternates,
Like
she's,
further down.
it's right past Mary Seat, right?
Yep. Yep.
Or St. Paul. I always get that wrong.
Along the railroad tracks.
Yes. Yeah. And she thinks it's bigger than,
The parking lot is enormous.
well, they don't want to do the parking lot. They don't want to have to negotiate with a private entity, which it worked for 30 years or however many years. So, whatever. This meets all the criterion. Don't have to talk to
You
anybody.
can come have it on the 500 block of Western.
I'm sure your neighbors would love you.
All right.
I will keep
Thanks. Thank you.
I will keep the board updated as process and information becomes available. Thank you.
Thank you. Finance? All right, Superintendent Larson, you have a visitor?
We do have a visitor. It's so exciting. So, in anticipation of our spring electricity bid, we've asked Adam Hoover, who's the Director of Strategic Accounts at NIMAC, to come and give us a presentation. So, NIMAC is the Northern Illinois Municipal Electrical Collaborative. It's a collaborative of municipal and nonprofit organizations that band together solely for electricity bidding purposes. NIMAC has 172 members consisting of 124 Northern Illinois municipalities, plus 48 park districts, water districts, and libraries. And we've been working with NIMAC as a broker and have had them helping us with our bids since 2012 in order to procure electricity at a fixed contracted rate. So the district's current contract to purchase electricity for 7 locations expires in May of 2025. And at the next meeting in February, we'll be bringing a resolution to the board about that and a memo explaining what we're planning for our bid. And in anticipation of that, we wanted Adam to come and talk to us a little bit about what he does and have you ask questions. So take it away.
Yeah, I mean, you just covered most of it. So
Okay.
I'm good to go.
No.
The only other things I would say on just who we are is that we traditionally, I think the thing that separates us from other consultants, we prefer consultants rather than brokers, but we are a broker, is that we do a big group bid where we kind of pile everyone's a kilowatt hour is a kilowatt hour. So any power that can join our group bid is great. So we work with the city. We work with Joe and Chris over at the city of Park Ridge. And then we also work with Niles and bunch of park districts around here. And then we do a big group bid and we kind of compile all of everyone together. So instead of, the park district going out to bid on their own, you guys are going out with the city and hundreds of other organizations. It's kind of our differentiation. On average, this is a really difficult number to calculate. We present about 20% compared to the ComEd rate. I put your rate in there as you're currently paying about 6.41 cents over the course of that contract. Once again, a little difficult to compare, but the best apples-to-apples comparison, the ComEd rate has been 7.13 cents for the past 2 or so years. And that's with you guys purchasing renewable energy. So really, you guys could have had a rate around 6.1 cents, but chose to go for renewables, which we'll get into in a second. Because our group bid is, you have to act quickly. Energy is a commodity. So when we offer a contract to our members, we prefer that they sign and return it by the end of the day. You cannot take a contract and give it to the board and bring it here and then present it the next day and then sign it. You could do it, but the suppliers would add a premium onto the cost in case the market changes. We have a resolution that we bring to, or we offer to our members to see if that they would get it signed. That would give someone in the board, is it Karen or John who has signing authority? I don't know who will, but anyway. That's another, one day someone on...
To be continued for
Sure,
next
sure,
board meeting.
But on Tuesday, March 4th, we usually do the first Tuesday. We then go out to bid, and we do about 2 months before the contract starts, just in case there's any issues. We like being safe. And so on the Tuesday of March 4th, Karen and John will walk in, and they'll see 6 contracts in their email inbox. 3, 1, 2, and 3 years non-renewable energy. And then since you guys choose renewable energy, you'll see 1, 2, 3 with renewable energy. You guys can choose one of those terms and sign and return it. However, on that day, like I said, you cannot take it and then sign it and bring it to the board. So we ask for someone on the staff to have signing authority to hopefully execute the contract by the end of the day. You have no contract with NIMAC. There's no agreements between us. So you do not have to partake in that bid. You do not have to sign anything on March 4th if anything looks funky to you. But we just ask that someone has the ability, if everything looks good, to sign and execute a contract. So you will see that resolution next board meeting. And my assumption is you guys have seen that for 5 or 6 times over the last 13 or 14 years from NIMAC. Maybe my father would have been the one doing that. So, like I said, no cost or commitment to be part of the bid. I just thought this would be just a good time to kind of show you how much energy is being purchased. To put this in perspective, these are monthly usage, right? We use monthly. You could use kilowatt hours and annual, but we chose monthly. So you guys use about 2,200,000 kilowatt hours monthly. I'm sorry, that's annual. That is annual.
I was like,
330. I thought 330 was
Like,
the-
we
the
gotta
biggest
get
one.
Lauren
Yeah,
to
yeah,
get
yeah,
number.
yeah, that's annual. To put this in perspective, excuse me. To put that in perspective, a home is around 700 to 1,200, 1,300 kilowatt hours a month. To put that in perspective, so that is an annual. And so you've seen that you guys are all purchasing that with renewable energy. So those are being created from most likely. They don't tell you where the next ones will be created, but a lot of Dynegies were created in a Minnesota Midwestern solar farm. That's where most of your energy came from. That doesn't guarantee that the next year that's where it'll be purchased from. That's how they make their money as they go shop it around. But they prefer the Midwest. So what is this? What does 2,000,000 to 200,000 kilowatt hours look like? You can see the numbers up there. I think it's very impressive. The one thing I'll just note is we work with a ton of municipalities and organizations, and during this bid, it usually goes to someone and staff kind of sitting behind closed doors, and it's not a very impressive, documents to sign and stuff. But you guys have the option of choosing non-renewable and renewable, and I just always think it's very commendable when people choose the renewable energy when they're kind of behind closed doors and not in front of people. So we have a lot of organizations that don't choose renewable energy and choose to do savings, which is good for them. We appreciate that, but you can kind of see kind of what you guys are doing yearly. The last thing I just want to kind of tell you about is what I didn't include your community solar in this as well. So on top of that 2,000,000 to 100,000 kilowatt hours, you guys also participate in community solar. And so what community solar does is you don't get the credits like these, what they call RECs, will be retired in your name with the EPA. But with community solar, the state of Illinois gets them, but you guys are supporting solar farms in, I forget where your solar farm is, but somewhere central Illinois. And that's also giving you 10% off of savings. And I want to give your staff credit. Karen and Lauren and John kind of figured a lot of that out even before I knew a lot about it. So you're receiving savings on that while also supporting solar energy somewhere else. You can't technically say they're retired in your name, but I do think that's also pretty commendable. I don't think there's much more if you all wanted to be renewable besides just flooding this place with solar panels. I don't think there's much more you could be doing to be more renewable. So I just kind of want to say from our end of things, we don't see this amount of renewable energy created very often. So we commend you. I think you guys are doing the right thing. Any questions on what we do or how we can help?
Thank you for the pat on the back. That's awesome. There's 2 addresses at Main Park. Should there be 3 now?
No, the Wildwood is so the programming building is actually doesn't have enough usage to bump up to this level. So it's Wildwood and Main Park.
Interesting.
We're looking at including those in the bids, but I think it's more cost efficient to not keep.
Mhm.
Interesting.
It's still it's viewed as still residential. So I've talked to ComEd about it.
Interesting. And I don't know that we've had this presentation before. Does anybody remember this? Because I didn't know we were part of a group. I mean,
I think we've been told that.
well, I forget things.
There wasn't a real person here representing.
My dad was here 5 or 6 years ago before
There
me.
wasn't a
I can ask him if he's
tangible
ever-
No way.
representation.
Honestly? No,
Yeah.
you're kidding.
No,
Honest-
no. I'm saying I don't know if he ever presented here, but he would have been here if he was.
Oh, cool.
Also, I do want to know, I think I am a little bit of a celebrity to my nieces and nephews because they go out to the park all the time, and I think my son might be old enough to join the water park back there this year. So you might see me knocking on the door with like a tank top on. And
That sounds scary.
So this number for Oakton too is low because usually Oakton uses more than the fitness center.
Correct.
Mhm.
That is I just did last year, and so I think it's
Okay.
about twice that. Maybe not
At
twice.
least.
Yeah.
Because I thought when I was twiddling around with the data that it was more than the fitness center.
I could give you the exact numbers, but yeah.
No, it's
ComEd has like 2 or 3 years of data, and I just pulled last year's.
okay.
So this is just a ballpark for this number. I see what it is. It's what we actually used last year, but you use that info to.
Our suppliers use that, and then they kind of calculate each information, and every one of those accounts has their own load factor, and eventually that becomes a price to suppliers, and then we kind of act as a broker to go to the lowest supplier based on the price.
So Oakton would probably change.
Correct. Yes, our suppliers are aware of that because they have the years of data. So when they go out to bid in May, they will do whatever they do with their data and how they analyze it.
And we aren't required to hit a certain
Correct.
usage amount. I mean, we always tell everyone, like, we told them Oakton was closing, and we told them that now Oakton is opening it. So they know that, but it's not like we have to meet something that won't affect our bid price. It won't
just-
change.
They just want to know the approximate size of how much.
Correct.
Mhm.
You, on your end, you guys can turn all them off and you guys wouldn't have to pay an extra cent. So no fulfillment. I know, but no fulfillment on your end.
That'd be bad.
One thing I want to add is that I know we briefly said community solar, but Karen's a true expert on community solar. She did speak this year at conference on this topic, so huge shout out to Karen for
I have
all the
my
information on
own
that.
solar from-
A pioneer.
Seeing as though we're Illinois, is there any preference given to Illinois providers?
No. Are you talking about the actual suppliers, or are you talking about where they purchase the renewable energy from?
Guess I don't know how to answer that.
Okay, so when it comes to suppliers, no. When we do group bids, I had a conversation about this today. When we do our big group bid, it's hard to, we're going to have 70 organizations in this year's group bid, so it's hard to have a supplier that can kind of execute that in under 24 hours. So we kind of go to the 5 biggest ones. MC Squared, I don't know if you heard of them, they're a little more local, and they can do it, and we trust them. But when it comes to that end, we kind of go to the 5 biggest ones, and that's just people we trust and have good, customer service and can execute our bid. As for why is it not an Illinois solar farm where we're getting our solar energy from compared to a Midwestern one? Well, Illinois RECs, or Illinois renewable energy, is very competitive right now. So it is much, much more expensive, and it's up to the point that the state's buying a lot of them for these community solar projects and other things, that it's very, very difficult for our suppliers to even purchase Illinois RECs. So we think the next best thing is what we call Midwest or PJM RECs. We have a grid of 9 states that actually goes all the way up to New Jersey. So if our power ever shuts off in Illinois, we can steal from Minnesota and New Jersey and Indiana, and not have what happened in Texas. I don't know if 3-4 years ago. So we say, as long as we're adding a green electron onto the grid, even though it's not from Illinois, which we wish, that's our priority, but it's just too expensive, we say Midwestern ones are the best that we can do. Good question.
Any other questions for Adam? Great. Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it.
Move on to buildings and grounds.
Thank you. We actually have Lauren Blackburn here. I'm pretty sure everybody here knows that Lauren is our sustainability coordinator. Lauren has been with the Park District for a few years now and running all these sustainable initiatives behind the scenes, and heads up our sustainability committee that we have internally. And so she's going to walk us through our new sustainability policy that we've developed, or procedure. I guess I really never clarified it was a policy or procedure. So, but we have a sustainability plan is what we have for the district, and we've been working on this for a while. So I'm going to turn it over to Lauren and let her talk through that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you for having me today. Excited to present our sustainability plan, policy, whatever we're going to call it. But I'd like to thank the Sustainability Committee for their hard work, collaboration, putting this plan together. Sandra Locascio, Oscar Salgado, Patrick Barker, Jennifer Meunier, and Terry Wolf. So for years, the district has made sustainability a priority. The committee felt the next step was to create a formal plan to outline current practices and then create measurable, realistic goals to work towards in the coming years. So we envision reducing carbon emissions, increasing energy efficiency, protecting natural areas, and reducing our waste in the years to come here at the district. So the committee wanted to make sure this plan addresses the needs from the community, staff, and commissioners. So we did send out a survey to help focus our efforts. From the results, we were able to create our 5 focus areas. So that's tree and natural habitat, composting and waste reduction, energy efficiency, clean air and water, and community and staff education. So once we had our focus areas and goals, we created strategies and performance measures on how we expect to accomplish them. We determine target implementation dates and how long we expect implementation to last to gauge our progress. So while technology is advancing and things are constantly changing, we do expect to update these performance measures as needed. A lot of the plan does include determining baseline measurements for where we are currently, and it is our intent to use that baseline measurement to track our improvements over the years. So the committee will provide an annual update on performance measures initiated, the progress and completions, along with updates on ongoing measures. So I plan today to go through each section, kind of outline our thought process, would gladly welcome thoughts, suggestions, or questions you might have at the end of each section. So first off, we have tree and natural habitat. The goal here is to protect the environment and natural habitat in open park spaces and natural land. So we have 4 strategies here we have to work towards for this goal, many of which the district currently has in place. So first, to utilize the tree inventory to effectively manage tree plantings, maintenance, and preservation of the existing tree canopy. So park staff is currently following our master tree planting plan, updating the tree dashboard, and tracking number of trees planted on an annual basis. So what we like to add here is to share the tree dashboard with the community to start reporting on statistics so that they know how many the tree canopy, carbon emissions, sequestered, that kind of stuff. As a requirement of the Urban and Community Forestry Grant that we were approved of, we will develop and improve a tree protection policy. So we can certainly add our integrated pest management program, and this will help secure already successful tree management and inventory practices. The next 2, maintaining existing perennial plantings and maintain existing natural lawn care practices. These are practices we want to make sure outlined in the plan so everyone's aware of what we're currently doing. They're currently in our strategic plan as well. Something we'd like to add here is, when feasible, use soil amendments and composting in all landscaping projects. While we already use the best we can or do the best we can, we like to expand this practice and then track usage so that we know we can report back to everyone.
Can I just say, as a master gardener, that's not always required, especially in native plantings.
The
So, soil amendment.
soil amendments. Yep. All right, as a strategy, we're also currently working on now is to manage our invasive species in all the parks. So we have identified buckthorn in 2 parks and are currently working on removal. And then with the approval of the Urban and Community Forestry Grant, that will help us remove the buckthorn at Main Park, and then ComEd was actually able to eradicate some buckthorn at North Park as well. So this is something that we're currently working on, but know that we have other invasive species that we like to get rid of as well.
I think there's some along the fence line at Northeast Park as well.
Northeast
The
Park?
neighbor's fence.
Is that North Park
I mean,
or Northeast?
yeah.
All right.
Thank you. That's exciting to me.
Any other questions or comments in this section or anything you'd like to clarify?
I know we have limited space for trees, but isn't it usually 40 every year? Or like, do we not want to set that as a goal because we're going to run out of space? Or
Our current goal is 40 every year.
but it isn't on here.
It's in our strategic plan.
Okay.
I mean, we could duplicate it here.
I mean, I like numbers.
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's put another number 6.
Yeah, you could just.
Well, and Terry, we've talked about putting larger footprints of mulch under the trees. Is that part of the number? It says IPM, but like maintenance practices, the best way to keep a tree healthy is to have mulch under it.
It's something that, and I mean, we could, I don't remember if we had it in here. That is something that's on staff's radar, and they've started working towards,
Mm-hmm.
are like 3-foot mulch rings around the trees. So, yeah.
And I think that is something that, as we get into the tree protection plan, I think that might be something that we
That's what I
find in there
was
too.
wondering. Yes.
Anything, any other questions or comments? All right, we can move on to composting and waste reduction. So the goal here is to reduce the contribution to landfills, reuse and recycle materials. So we have these 4 strategies to help us achieve this. So first way to start is to identify our waste throughout the district. We can accomplish this by finding a way to quantify the volume of garbage and recycling, identify areas of improvement, develop a reduction plan, and then collaborate with each department on ideas. Similar, we can do the same with our paper volumes as well. While COVID certainly pushed everyone to reduce paper usage, measuring our current use and comparing to other districts or standards will help us understand how we're doing and identify where we can potentially reduce. We want to continue to develop and support recycling and composting programs at facilities. We want to make sure our recycling practices are not contaminating the process, so education on recycling will continually be improved to remind staff. Also would like to implement hard-to-recycle drop-off opportunities internally with staff, but possibly for the community as well. We already have textile recycling, but possibly expanding soft plastics could be an opportunity to explore. And then composting as well. We did pilot an internal process. We'd like to adjust, make improvements, and expand to other facilities when possible. Another strategy, we'd like to eliminate the use of polystyrene foam and reduce single-use plastics. First and foremost, identify where they are being used and develop a replacement plan. And then identify opportunities for zero waste events and determine ways to manage different scale of events.
Fabulous. But are we recycling at 4th of July? That's what at 3rd of July.
Yes, we do plan to bring that back.
Really? We have a new improved plan for that?
We do, yes.
Yes, great.
Yes.
Oh, and I just wanted to ask, because there used to be shoe recycling bins at the fitness center, and I was wondering if there was any thoughts on bringing. Oh, they moved it?
Oh, you mean the ones on the inside?
Yeah, the inside, not the
No, there's the
textile, like the in.
You can
They
put your
do,
shoes
you
in
can
the
put
outside.
shoes in there too.
And like really beat up ones, because that was, okay.
Yep.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yep. And Oakton's will be coming back once Oakton, we just have to make sure we have space for parking, but we do plan to find an opportunity there.
I have a question about the recycling stuff. Would we work with our concessionaire at the pool to the extent that they can, at least the plastic bottles, because it's the plastic bottles. That the single-use plastics, to see if they can move away from that, or
Yeah, I know April staff has had conversations with them, and yeah.
We incorporated some new language that was suggested by Lauren into our
Cool.
RFPs for both Oakton
Excellent.
and at the pool.
But we might get only one bidder, right?
No.
So, okay. All right.
I think the other, important part about having, that language in there is that, if we handle that language properly in that RFP process, it might allow us an opportunity to talk about what that means with the vendor. Just say, similar to the electric purchase with the NIMAC, we're paying a little bit more per kilowatt hour, so maybe our cost share agreement or something there is a little bit different if they take that step to eliminate, or what we've done with our lawn mowing practices where they're using only electric. So hopefully we can find some of those opportunities,
Lovely.
if not now, in the future or whatever, but we're continuing to work towards that as well.
That's great.
Any other thoughts or questions, or we good to move forward? Okay. Next, we have energy efficiency. So the goal here is to conserve natural resources by improving efficiency, reducing consumption, and increase the use of renewable energy resources. We have 4 strategies here to help. So first is create a central database to track the district's energy usage and facility improvements. So when developing this plan, we began to research different ways on how to track energy use. So the Department of Energy has a guide that we can definitely follow. I've recently gotten into Energy Star Portfolio Manager, which I feel like is going to be a great tool to help us have everything all in one place, because it will actually track waste at each facility as well. So we can include that in reports as well, because we're going to be starting to work on those quarterly energy reports very soon too. Identify areas to improve efficiency and or reduce dependence on fossil fuels. So we want to make sure we take advantage of the ComEd energy audits and incentives. ComEd has a great business analyzer tool as well, can narrow it down to specific meters so we can identify areas to make improvements. As buildings and facilities age, they'll need updates. We want to make sure we're identifying possible renewable energy sources to install when feasible. And then, of course, we want to ensure all utility bids have renewable energy source options as well. And last but not least, increase our community solar, that's number 3, increase our community solar capacity. So as Adam was talking about, we have 5 facility accounts that are subscribed to a volume of 90% historical electric use. Our fitness center, I think, is almost there. I think that's our last one. And then we can seek additional accounts if needed.
Yeah, this year 4 of them will be at 90%, so we'll be top of the line, and then the fitness center will be at like 77%, so very close.
So I didn't ask this earlier, but how does that work with the NIMEC? Like,
There are two, it doesn't really work. It works together in that we can participate in both programs without either one hurting the other, right? So we can still participate in renewable energy with the RECs for our bid, but that doesn't affect our ability to participate in community solar. So it's sort of like we're getting green on top of green. So there's no conflict between them. We can do both with no issues.
so you get the community solar discount after you get the NIMEC rate.
Correct. So we get the discount comes from ComEd.
Uh-huh.
So it's they do their billing and give us the rate, whatever rate for our usage that we have with our other provider, and then the discount comes off that.
So it's kind of funny because we pay a little bit more to NIMEC for green, and then we get a 10% discount
Correct.
for being green.
Correct. Yeah, and once things get settled with these, I could do it now, but if you want, or I can wait until we're all settled with the new ones, and then it'd be interesting to see. I'm already building the spreadsheet in my head, my mind's eye. It'd be interesting to see like what the differences between, right? Like we paid a little more for the RECs, and then is that covered by
The discount
the discount? Yeah,
should be.
it should be.
Once you figure out how much you're getting from solar, technically you wouldn't have to buy the REC because you're already paying for solar. Like you already have, we don't own the RECs. I think the solar company takes the RECs. So,
Or the community solar?
yeah, we
Yes,
don't. So
correct. We
they
don't
have
own
the
those RECs.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So portfolio manager also has water usage you can plug into it too, as I recall. Maybe it's not all for the property types. Well, our property types don't match up well, but you can still use it as a tracking tool. And I think you can still enter water use too, if that was ever of interest.
Yeah, that's our last one. In this category, track water usage and research additional opportunities for reduction.
Yeah, I think it's just like I haven't been in there in a while, but you can put water in, as I recall.
Any other questions or comments for this section?
I like the sub-meters. No one else is probably getting excited about sub-meters, but I'm excited about the sub-meters because that's how you find out like where
It's going.
where if something goes up, you know what the problem is, and it makes it easier to find savings when you have things sub-metered.
Yeah. All right, our next one, community staff participation. So the goal here is to ensure staff and community are provided with necessary training and education to support sustainability initiatives. And really what we want to do here is create a culture where our sustainability plan is understood across all departments. And it's really ingrained in the culture where it's not like I'm the sustainability police or our committee is the sustainability police having to go around. So a couple strategies here. First, reorganize and update district commitment to environmental and sustainable practices. We'd like to implement an annual sustainability survey for staff to gather ideas. I'm sure a lot of employees out there might have some ideas, and an anonymous survey might be a great way for them to express those to the committee. We'd like to analyze the district purchasing policy from a sustainability perspective. So how can we reduce waste by having maybe a centralized purchasing process, but in a way that would make sense for all staff? We'd like to evaluate the environmental considerations that are currently in the admin policy under purchasing. Are there any updates that could be made, and then reiterate to staff? Staff might even not know this policy is out there, so bring it to life so that everyone has those environmental considerations when purchasing. Verify printers default to double-sided, maybe low-hanging fruit, but something we can do to make sure that we're reducing our waste and our staff is aware as well. And then analyze and update the plan every 10 years. Although we'll be looking at our strategies and performance measures on an annual basis, we didn't want this plan to kind of be overly burdensome and more of a guide of direction of where we would like sustainability to head within the district. Also identify trainings. We have our green tip emails, but want to promote what we're accomplishing to staff to spread the word and motivate others. We would still like to partner and collaborate with local organizations, agencies, and volunteer groups. So look at what we're currently doing and then expand when feasible. Develop a community environmental education communication plan. We're already using social media to provide the community with what we're accomplishing, but look to the quarterly brochure or other emails. That might be another spot to add some additional information. And then research additional educational classes and volunteer opportunities. See if there's anything more we can offer when it comes to environmental education and volunteering.
Would you consider having a kickoff of this plan, some way that all our staff would know and not give them little gadgets with our name on it or anything?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, we do have a plan once finalized and have board approval. We'd like to put it in a format that's a little bit more presentable, maybe not as Excel format, and then distribute it out to the staff and communicate it some way. So
I was thinking something a little funner than that. I don't know.
Excel is fun too, everyone.
Document, read it.
True.
I looked at this and I was like, I don't know, a slogan, I don't know, a contest, I don't know, something fun, because I don't, I don't know.
I might have to consult the recreation department.
They are fun. They are fun.
So-
Everybody wear Green Day. I don't know.
I have a question. So if you're doing an annual sustainability survey to get additional ideas, but you're only updating the sustainability plan every 10 years, where are those ideas gonna go?
Yeah. Ideally, they would fall into the plan somewhere.
Yeah.
To help us complete our goals. But if there are additional ideas that maybe we could create something in addition, or another goal or another topic, or we can hopefully try and weave it, or kind of just list it out. This is the information that came from the survey.
I wouldn't think it'd be that heavy a lift. I can understand how you wouldn't want to like go out to the whole district and like do the whole shebang every year, but it seems like you could update it every year and then take a more I don't know what the right terminology would be, but like a complete
Overhaul.
update.
Yeah.
Every 10 years is pretty far apart. I would say 3 to 5, maybe. To 10 years seems like a long.
You'll forget that it's 10 years.
I mean, a lot's gonna, Lord knows what's gonna happen between now and 2035. But yeah, I would want, if people have good ideas, and they should fit within, these are great categories, sure. So I would just say maybe we can be open to, a light refresh.
Well, especially after 1 year, like after the first year, either it's working or it's not.
That's true.
I think you should look at it after a year and say, is this still the framework that's going to work for us?
Yeah.
Or is it too much? Or, do we need to add things? So, yeah, that was the one thing that I was kind of worried about.
No, go ahead. We did have conversation about
Yeah.
that. So
We were kind of stuck on that 10-year for a while too, and it was like, is it too long? When should we actually do a revamp? So we're open to
But what if, next year you could say, this was too aggressive, we've fallen behind in a couple areas, we'd like to tweak it, and I think we're okay with that.
Yeah.
What I think what we had kind of talked about was, like the framework and some of these measures and things might adjust on the year-to-year basis, but that, to your point, like the full-on, like revamp the whole thing, take a whole deep dive on it, might not be for 10 years, but we were at 5 for a while in our discussions. Like, is that a 5-year? Is that a 10-year? And since this was the first go at this, we didn't want it to seem too aggressive. So that's where we landed at 10. But I can tell you, nobody on the committee was feeling like we would come in here and die on that hill. Like, oh no, this has got to be a 10-year. So I think we'll certainly take that feedback and work with that. So, because we expect this to be a little more a little more fluid. So, and I mean, I think when we look at this is more of a plan and something we're looking to drive culture within the district, more so than something that like, oh, well, there's nothing left for us to do on this now. We'll just set it to the side. So like, it's gonna evolve, and it's really structured a lot similar to what our strategic plan looks like in some fashion, so that we have, these goals and measures and things that we want to accomplish, and with that concept in mind, that this will continue to evolve. So I think, that line probably could have changed before we brought it here, but we hear what you're saying, and we'll work with that. So appreciate that feedback.
All right, let's move on to the last and final one, clean air and water. The goal here to reduce our contribution to air pollution and water contamination. So we have 6 strategies here. However, as we were talking about this, going through it, strategy 3 and 6 we like to combine because it's pretty much getting at the same plot. Is that we'd like to identify and reduce contributions to air pollution, and then determine our greenhouse gas emissions and set improvement metrics. So those I feel like could be combined, and then have the same performance measures to help us complete that strategy and goal. So that's something that we're going to kind of edit a little bit. But some of our performance measures here, we like to work and expand the percentage of hybrid, electric, and/or alternatively fueled vehicles in our fleet. So as replacement timelines come up, make sure to evaluate our options, identify areas to implement biodiesel in any equipment, and also reiterate our no idle policy that the district currently has.
That is so cool. I didn't know we had that.
Something we're already doing, but always good to have in writing, is make sure we're disposing of chemicals, oils, and tires properly by following proper guidelines. The next one we're going to combine with 6, but some ways that we feel like we could reduce contributions to air pollution. Find strategies to reduce, let's locate potential charging stations to help the transition to EVs, battery-powered equipment where feasible, and even contracts with vendors to use battery-powered equipment, and also research new trends to minimize mowing. We like to analyze indoor air quality at facilities, which we're kind of already doing, but want to make sure that's top of mind as well. Reduce any contribution to water contamination, so maybe start to evaluate alternatives to salt for ice management. And then the last one we kind of talked about too, determine where our emissions are, where are they coming from, and work on these strategies listed. Any comments or questions on this one?
Do we know what our greenhouse gas emissions are? Have we done?
Not yet.
Well, shouldn't that be the first step before you achieve low carbon status? You have to do a greenhouse gas inventory. Is it in there?
We have it as a strategy determination. So I think it's the last one down here.
Yeah.
Yes.
The first step would be to do a greenhouse gas inventory.
And you should get credit for that, so put that in there, right?
Yeah, like that's
That'll be a big deal.
Okay. I was looking at the action part of it, but that could definitely be, and there are tools out there to make it easier. And then indoor air quality, I've asked about this before. change our filters, but we don't have like indoor air sensors
Mm-mm.
or anything like that.
No, we started adding
Talking to the mic.
we started adding in like ionization to some of our bipolar ionization to some of our HVAC units when we move them. We replace our on regular basis, but yeah.
Okay. I mean, something that I've thought about, and I brought it up before, is my former employees that I hope they still have a job.
They just announced.
Okay.
Anywho.
Great Lakes.
Huh?
I just got a ping on my phone. I went to turn it off.
Okay.
Great Lakes. Yeah.
But they would do, we always would go into schools and do indoor quality walkthroughs and look for things like storage of chemicals in the wrong spot, or like people putting stuff in front of air intakes and changing your filters. So I always thought that'd be a cool thing for them to do at the preschool, because that's where little kids breathe more in proportion to their bodies, so they can be impacted. So I could make that connection. That'd be a cool thing to do. They still work there.
And you said that, well, that was through the EPA?
It's through the EPA. It's yeah.
And that's an old building with a lot of old equipment, right? Did we get rid of that boiler finally, or no?
At Main Park?
Yeah.
No, we did not. We've refurbished it.
It's like 50 years old.
We're gonna wait for really good heat pumps.
Or geothermal.
Or geothermal. I don't know if Terry and I have the plan. We've talked about it. Poor Terry. This is great.
It's very thorough. How do you feel about all this?
Good.
I mean, I know you feel good it's done, and you feel good that we like it. And, is it manageable? Is it exciting? Is it daunting? I don't know. Like,
But
yeah.
no, I think we went around, and I think we had it in a good spot probably in September. And I think I went back and I started changing all the target start dates and pushing things back a little bit. So I think that made things a little bit more manageable and seem realistic. But yeah, I think this is it's good to see a lot of the implementation timeline, how many ongoing things we do have, because we're already doing it. We're already having it in place, and to put it in writing and have it for everyone to see, and it's going to be a living document. I think that's going to be really helpful.
And did you get ideas from this from other organizations?
Yes. So a couple of different park districts. I know Wilmette Park District just came out with theirs a couple months ago, or I think maybe more than that now. Urbana Park District, they've had their programs in place for a couple of years now. Park District of Oak Park. And I'm trying to think if there's another one. Glenview, I think I reached out to because they had some sustainability programs in place, but they were actually contracting with someone else for them to put it all together in a formal policy. So I haven't seen that come out just yet, but I took bits and pieces from kind of all of them and figured out what works best for us and the district. So.
And was every department in your group? Was
in the committee?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
No. But early on when I started, reached out to each department, kind of went through and talked about what they're currently doing, where they even see ideas to improve. So some of those ideas are in here as well. But yeah, as far as our committee.
And a lot of the backbone for this came from that survey that was done with both the staff, the community, the board, all of that. So that was kind of the backbone for this.
That's a good idea.
Well, don't forget that last fall, late fall, you met with everybody in this room. We talked about it with all the department heads and different people in every department. So we all had some input. I looked at start dates or whatever else, but Lauren and Terry and the whole sustainability team did a great job. But you did have buy-in from everybody else as well, so it was great.
Let me ask you, when do you think you're going to be shouting the word out to the public that, you know, this is what we're doing and how do you plan to do that? And other, you know, reaching out to groups. I'm thinking library, the garden clubs, you know, Go Green, whatever. You know, when are you going to be ready to say, hey, this is what we're doing? You know, maybe you're not ready quite yet to, you know, give results back or, you know, brag about something. What do you think?
Yeah, that's a great question. I know we like to pretty this up a little bit.
Sure.
Get it in the spot where we like to present it. But yeah, Sandra, that's on our committee. We'll work with her and kind of come up with a plan, and Margaret, and how best we like to.
So like 3 months, 6 months. What are you thinking? I don't know. I'm just asking.
I think that they have been presenting even before there was a plan. Remember, you guys have been to Green Drinks?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's been ongoing. This is just more formal.
Okay.
So I think we should have you to Green Drinks this fall or someone. It's exciting. We had the school district topic earlier last fall, and a lot of people came.
I think it's great. Thanks for taking the time to organize everybody and create a direction to go down a sustainable path. So thanks so much for putting that all together.
Yeah, I'm really happy about this after working with the city for years and years and years for them to do anything and not much happening. And I'll say it publicly. It's very nice. Elections matter and we care about this, and it's nice to see such good progress in my first term. And I'm excited that I get to come back and help see this through. So thank you so much, Lauren, and others who I know contributed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's cool that a lot of this was started even before you got here. That's kind of cool. But you could organize it and get it more focused and more data-driven now.
Yeah, we could never be where we're at with this without Lauren's help. She's really the driver here. We had some great things started and some initiatives and concepts, but never the staff time to put towards this. And Lauren's been a tremendous resource for all of it. So really, thank you. I think one thing that we hadn't really talked through about this was it, being kind of a plan. I think we talked a little loosely at the beginning about a policy plan. I think just having thought through it a little bit, we really do kind of hope that this becomes something that's more culture for the district. And when I think about that, I think of something that's more of a plan, something that's done at a staff level and not a policy that's being, no offense, but driven down by the board. But we at least want it to be something that the board agrees with, and that we have, public discussion about this and what these specifics items are, so that people understand that these are the values of the board and the park district, so that when we're working on developing that culture, that we have that support. So the way I see this is that we can make some of these changes and just, through this discussion, make some updates. I can share that with the board at a future meeting just to let you know where we've gone with this, and then we'll continue to work on this as a staff, the sustainability plan, and then we'll anticipate having a regular update with the board on an annual basis if that sounds appropriate to the board. So
I think so, and you've been including stuff in your monthly reports as well.
Yeah.
Like, I just think of the visuals that you guys put on the new vehicles. That was just wonderful. Like, people just, they don't read as much as they see things sometimes. So
it was one of the few times I wanted to brag about something that we did. So
well, you can't brag about Natural Lawn Care unless you put a sign by the Dandelions, brought to you by Natural Lawn Care. I don't, I don't.
great.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you.
How long have you been with us now? 2 years?
Just under 2 years, I think.
Okay.
I think it was May. So
Oh,
yeah.
that's right.
I remember editing your job description with Terry at conference a couple years ago. That's right.
How many hours a week do you work?
About 20.
20?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes a little under, sometimes a little over, but yeah, about 20. So, thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving along to the mechanical services agreement. I move to approve the mechanical services agreement in the amount of $680 with Midwest Mechanical, and to authorize the executive director to execute and deliver such agreement.
Second.
Terry, you want to share?
Sure. So this is an amount that we budgeted in operations across the district. During the budget presentation this year, I had mentioned that we are gearing up and working towards enhancing all of our preventative maintenance programs. This particular agreement and this was a proposal that we were reaching out to different vendors and looking for different opportunities. This was our basis for budget, so it is right on budget for what we had planned. This will complete all the preventative maintenance on all of our HVAC units at all of these facilities listed here. It's essentially everything but Oakton. Oakton's carved out, obviously, because it's not open yet. I do have a list that I'm working with, and I'll probably develop some sort of a bid for Oakton because in my conversations with the ICE Mechanicals, it's somewhat unique and separate. And so I want to find someone that might be able to handle that nuance as well as some of the other things while they're on site. This is something that we're working on and doing as a staff, and that we're going to do this year, evaluate as our first year. We anticipate we'll continue with something like this, but we might change it or revamp it going forward. But as we're bringing Oakton online, filling in positions that we have, needing to train everybody, continue to operate all of our existing facilities all at pretty much exactly the same time, we need to make sure that we have someone keeping an eye on maintaining all of our systems. So we felt like it was absolutely crucial that we get this service in order for this year. So, but this is exactly what we had budgeted for this year.
Any other conversation? Roll call?
Commissioner Halting,
Yes.
Commissioner Leduc,
Aye.
Commissioner Matza,
Yes.
Commissioner Tunnel,
Aye.
Commissioner Bendy, Commissioner Bowe,
Yes.
Commissioner Grau.
Aye.
And that is approved. So moving on to the disposal of surplus property, I move to approve ordinance number 25-2, an ordinance authorizing the sale of used personal property owned by the Park Ridge Park District.
Second.
Terry?
Yeah, so at a previous meeting this year, the board approved the purchase of the new Toolcat. And unlike a lot of other things lately, I didn't have to wait months and months, and it surprisingly showed up already. So we have more Toolcats than we need right now. So we're anxious to get one out the door. So we're just looking for approval to get rid of the old Toolcat, which is a great problem. We also, off topic, but got our robot in as well. So we're ready to get that going soon too. So, but yes, we'd like to get rid of the Toolcat. So,
All right, well, let's speed it along then. Roll call?
Commissioner Leduc,
Aye.
Commissioner Matza,
Yes.
Commissioner Tunnel,
Aye.
Commissioner Bendy, Commissioner Bowe,
Yes.
Commissioner Halting,
Yes.
Commissioner Grau.
Aye.
And turning it over to
Intergovernmental. All right, I move to approve the amendment to the intergovernmental agreement for a temporary easement dated February 22nd, 2022, between the Board of Education of the Community Consolidated School District Number 64 and the Park Ridge Park District, and to authorize the president and secretary to execute and deliver such agreement. Second. Looks like there's a memo on page 15.
yeah, so we did have an agreement with School District 64 for some previous construction. It's a section of the park that's directly east of the school. In that park that we really don't use for anything. It doesn't impact any, programs or athletics or anything else. It worked well for a construction easement. They've identified the need for that space again, and so they requested. We reached out to Dirk. He recommended that this would be the easiest way to go about that since we'd already had a defined area, and so we're just extending that agreement so all parties are understood what that space is and what it means. So.
I just had a question on the drawing at the bottom. They taking out more trees over there?
This is actually the same drawing from,
Oh, good.
yeah, this is not,
Yippee.
Nothing there has changed. It's the same drawing that we had from the last time this was brought.
So this never lapsed. I was reading it. I'm like, why is it all from 2022? Like it never had an end?
Yeah.
It
I
does?
mean,
Thank you.
it does.
I
but
was like, that's kind of weird.
it does, and they had kind of turned it back to us, but we're re-engaging it. So
So you fixed it?
Any further questions, discussion? We have a roll call, please.
Commissioner Matzah,
Yes.
Commissioner Tunnel,
Aye.
Commissioner Bendy, Commissioner Bowe,
Yes.
Commissioner Halting,
Yes.
Commissioner Leduc,
Aye.
Commissioner Grau.
Aye. New business, I'm sorry. Meeting like 5 more minutes now. I just wanted to say that, thank you to John and Brian and Joan for going to the meeting Monday night. I think the city council really noticed. They moved us up in the agenda, which I've never seen. Well, it was a cow meeting, but I think it helped, frankly. And then last night I did a state of the city, state of the park district update at the state of the city event at Fire and Wine. It was very last minute, and thank you to Margaret for writing a speech. And and John came too, and we made a connection there with a banker, which I'm excited about. So the Wind Trust, they always buy our bonds. So he was there. That was interesting, and Brian was there too. And then real quick, we're meeting tomorrow morning. I had mistakenly kind of blabbed about this, so I feel like I have to tell everybody with the school district, because planning and zoning wants them to talk to us about a parking problem around Field. So they want us to give them, sell them property or something. I don't know.
So they went to, the school district went to P&Z about renovations they're doing at Field School. And there was a discussion about parking, and one of the questions was, have you approached the park district about purchasing land and putting a parking lot over there? Staff had a meeting with the school district today, one of those 6-month check-ins to see how things are going. So they brought it up briefly, but we will have a formal meeting with the presidents of both boards and myself and Dr. Ben Collins to talk about if they could buy land from us for a parking lot, which would go against what we stand for. So we just have to have that meeting to check off the list. So when Ben Collins goes back, he did approach them. They also had crazy ideas too of, if they could have all their staff park here, and then a bus comes and picks them up and drives them over to Field School. So it'll be an interesting conversation tomorrow. But President Grau and myself will be meeting with the school district tomorrow.
It shouldn't amount to much, but since I had told somebody, I'm like, oh, maybe everybody should know. Yeah. Oh, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Dr. Collins spoke briefly today. I think they do have an alternate plan now too that they're going to bring it back to P&Z to talk about. So they found out other ways to look at it. So I think he's going to fill us in tomorrow. That's a spoiler alert, President Grau, but he did speak about how they've been working with alternate ways. But it did get discussed at the cow meeting on Monday briefly about it, how the rule of thumb is every two parking spots for every classroom. So if you have 40 classrooms, you have 80 parking spots. But I think Dr. Collins and his staff have been working with alternative solutions. So more to come.
That's all I had. Does anyone else have new business? All right, then I move to adjourn the meeting of the Board of Park Commissioners.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Renee, for staying.